Hey guys, I'm at the Woodshed Barber, and this is episode 14 of the Son of a Barber podcast.
This is the barbershop, Cornerstone neighborhood.
So, not too much topics going on. We got some things that have dropped ideal-wise in the barber world. A couple things from T-Pob. We have the hint of a mini play, which is already, the play, I don't know if you guys have all used the play yet, but it's one of the most comfortable clippers in barbering. It's very light, good ergonomics without being too ergonomic. Comfortable handle, nice customization, very modern, very clean looking clipper. But it was clip of the year for me last year. I loved it, and still love it. And so they've announced that there's going to be a mini play, which already I'm just like, man, what is this going to be like? It's already small. Now, is it going to drop down maybe to the size of what the Goblin was, or the Instinct, or all the different clippers that have that casing? If you guys didn't know, there's a lot more than just that. There's the Z clipper that has that same casing. There's there's some Australian clipper, I forget the name of it, but there's all kinds of clippers that have that same Instinct casing. But is it going to be that small? I don't know. My guess is that to become smaller, it might drop the 2-speed thing and just have 1 speed. Might lose some battery life, but who knows, man? I'm curious to see it. The Go is going to be coming out here soon. Super stoked for that. The way he described it to me was that if the play, if let's say clippers were chicken and the play was your mild, then your Go is your hot sauce. It's up a level. Curious to see what that's like, man. I'm here for it. Whatever it is, I'm here for it. So there's that. He says that Toad and him are not the same guy. Cool, I believe it. He probably has somebody hired to kind of do. Because Toad is dropping videos every day. It's crazy. Sometimes twice a day. But apparently Toad has said that there is going to be a Goblin 2. So future for T-Pob means you already got the play, you already got the X Deluxe, the XO, the X. I don't know if the X is still for sale, but it might be. But you got the play trimmer, play shaver, and now you're going to be throwing in the Go. The Go will probably have a trimmer eventually too. And the Play Mini kind of joining the Play family. And then you have the Goblin 2. So I don't know if it's going to be a vector motor, most likely. My guess is if it's going to carry the name of the Goblin, it will have a vector motor. But never know, man. I'm curious. I'm here for it. Andis has got some stuff coming soon. Can't say what it is yet. I'm hamstrung on that, but I'm excited for that. Let's see, what other barber news? The compact low pros have dropped from Babyliss. Hopefully I'll be getting one in the mail soon. What else? Barber news wise, I'm trying to think if there's something else that has come out. I think as of right now, that's it. I think. The Super Pro, they did drop their Stair clipper set. Both of them, clipper and trimmer, for I think like $69 or $79. Pretty cheap. It looks a lot like their other ones. It looks like a less dressed up Black Obsidian. So I don't know if it's that different. Maybe worth a turn. But as of right now, I think that's really it. It's kind of, this is something I was waiting for. With COVID, because of all the stuff that came from that, people becoming disillusioned with their jobs, getting into barbering, finding a new career, finding all this passion. You've had barbering blow up. You got all these clipper companies. It's funny, Concise actually asked, I think 2 weeks ago on his show, is it hitting a point where it's going to sustain this upward momentum, or is it going to start to fall down a little bit? And honestly, I don't think it's going to fall down, but I do think it's going to self-correct. I think that we had this big surge of companies, of clippers. Stylecraft dropped like I think like 15, 10 or 15, somewhere in between there in 1 year. So you had all this stuff happening, and it's gotta eventually drop down. It's good for the business for a minute, but like, you can't just flood the market with clipper after clipper after clipper after clipper every single year. So companies that are like not rebranding, but kind of re-establishing themselves or establishing themselves for the first time, like T-Pub, Babel's coming out with some new stuff. Andis has kind of, reinvigorated their brand. You're getting a lot of new stuff from them, but I don't think it's going to be this thing of like every year we're going to get like 10 new clippers to the industry. And if we do, I worry about some of the tools that they'll discontinue that are really, really good, if not better. So I like having tools I'm familiar with. So let me know what you guys think about that, because for me, I would like the idea of having tools that I know and trust always there. And if they break, always being able to go get them. That was kind of the perk of the old way of doing things, is that no matter what, you knew you could get a Wall Senior. No matter what, you knew you could get an Andis Master. No matter what, you knew that stuff was there. And already there's a lot of tools that have been discontinued. So the newer brands, wondering how that's going to be. So drop that down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. So first topic is a video that, well, I'll go ahead and play it for you.
I got the record for the fastest haircut in the world. I've broken the record 16 times. I got the record for the most haircuts in an hour, and I got the record for the most haircuts in 24 hours, nonstop without a break.
How many haircuts have you done in one single hour?
One single hour. The record was 18 haircuts in an hour, so I did 22 haircuts in an hour. Somebody broke my record. They did 23 haircuts in an hour, so I did 34 haircuts in 1 hour.
Shit, man, that's crazy.
Thank you.
How many haircuts have you managed to make in one single day?
Well, the 24-hour record is 340, but that was a charity event and a publicity stunt. If you're talking about real customers paying real money for real haircuts, my best day ever was 73.
73 haircuts in one day?
In one day. Now, a regular day for me every day was about 45. So that's just a regular day.
So
5 days a week, from like I used to cut like 1 to 9 or 1 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
40, 45 a day, that was normal for me.
So that is Ivan Zoot. If you don't know who Ivan Zoot is, you must be very young in the business, and if not, have you been under a rock? Ivan Zoot has been educating and doing this for as long as I can remember. I mean, it's whenever I first started teaching, like in 2009, I remember, that's whenever YouTube started getting a bit of a feel of the YouTube barber thing going. He was already here. It was like him and Al's Millions, and I mean, you had these OG barber guys already here doing their thing. And Ivan Zoot never stopped, never slowed down. And that's another thing. Dude does not slow down. And that video shows. A lot of people are calling cap on his statements. And this is going to lead into the main topic of this. But let me just go ahead and say this. Not all haircut expectations are the same, because we do have differences in community, in culture, in barbering techniques. Where Ivan works, maybe it's just that, hey, his haircuts are, it could just be that his expectations from his clients to him is just this one level of like good solid haircut, good clean line, done. It's not insane to think that. And for a lot of you guys who are like younger in the business, this whole appointment culture that is, and it's a good thing, don't get me wrong. It has taken over barbering, which, like I said, don't get me wrong, it's a good thing. Appointments have allowed me to work at a much more sustainable pace. But the first, I'd say 8 years of my cutting experience, straight out of school, I was working in an old school barbershop in a medium-sized to small town. And we were busy. It was a different lifestyle, man. there would be times like this. I had times where I could sit down and read a book for hours just sitting in the shop because there was no appointments. It was walk-in only. We had dead times like that. I'd sit down, read a book for hours. And then all of a sudden the lunch rush come in and we would not sit down and not stop moving for 3 hours. Well, with that comes the fact that you gotta make money while the sun shines. I don't know if you ever heard that whole, cut hay while the sun shines. That's kind of the mentality, is that you had people come into the barbershop, you had to get ready to turn that chair. Now, I'm not talking about doing cheap, crappy haircuts. You did the best you could, but you knew you couldn't spend too long. So in those years for me, I would average between 4 to 6 haircuts an hour. I do 2 haircuts an hour now. Like, I do 30-minute appointments. That's the way I prefer to work now, and it's made my life much more sustainable, much more relaxing. I enjoy it. I like to talk to my clients, and that gives me the opportunity to get to know them better, have deep conversations. In all honesty, the way I cut now, I'm done with the haircut in 10 to 15 minutes. There's a lot of stopping and starting along the way that makes it take longer because I like to talk. Surprise, surprise. So with that comes the fact that in those days of cutting like that, for 3 hours, doing 6 haircuts an hour, I could do 18 haircuts in 3 hours. So Ivan's saying that he, on a regular basis, did 45. Does not surprise me at all. Now, him saying 73 in one day, normal paying customers, that is a crazy day. However, let me bring you back to some more personal history on me. My busiest day ever in barbering still was my first day behind the chair. Straight out of school. Graduated school, passed state board, first day in the shop. Village Barber Shop in Cookeville, Tennessee. They had been on a vacation for like a week or two. The barber I worked for, he also did mission trips. So he had gone and done that and came back. And so the shop was closed, completely closed for over a week. My first day behind the chair is my first day at work at the shop after they opened up. So I get there, we open at 8. Good to be there early. The way that I was working, I didn't have my own station. I had to use the station that was free. And so I get my stuff unpacked. Guys are waiting at the door at like 7:30. So we open up a little bit early, maybe 7:45, 7:50, in they come. I sat down for maybe 15 minutes to eat a sandwich and then got back to it. We closed at 5:30. And the rule was, if you were in the shop, by the time we closed the curtains at 5:30, we're gonna cut your hair. We're gonna clean the room. So we were probably there until maybe about 6:10, 6:15, somewhere along that. So from 7:45 to 6:10, 6:15, about a 10 and a half, 11 hour day. I guess 10 and a half. I ended up doing on my first day, and remember, I'm a rookie, 38 haircuts. Still the busiest day I have ever had. Now, it'll be the busiest day I probably ever have because I have no desire to do that now. But if that's the way you're working, and my guess is Ivan with his business, I don't know where he's stationed at. I think he's in California. I may be wrong on that. Wherever he's at, my guess is he's got a long awaiting business that has gathered there at his shop for a long time, to where he has hundreds and hundreds of guys on his schedules. Now, if he is even doing that, it could just be still first come, first serve. A lot of barbers still do that. So 73 in a day, if I'd have been more practiced, let's see, 10 hours, it was a little bit over 10 hours, and I was able to do eventually 6 haircuts in an hour. That's 60 haircuts. Ivan's faster than me. Ivan's faster than everybody. So 73 in a day, I can see it being possible. I don't know how long of a shift that is, but I can see it being possible. Now, him averaging 45 in a normal day, definitely possible for him. If that's how he works. I don't know if you've ever seen the dude cut, but he cuts quick. But people are like, oh, well, it's not a full haircut. Dude, that gets us into the next thing. Now, like you said, the 340 haircuts in a 24-hour period, it's a publicity stunt. It's there for the Guinness Book of World Records. It's what he specializes in. It's a media thing. He even owned up to that in the video. But what I'm going to get into next goes in from that. Barbering culture. Because we're not just one culture. And this is something that I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you are sensitive to talking about culture or race, if you get your feelings hurt easy, I don't know what to tell you. This is a business where we talk facts, we talk reality, we talk truths. And if you can't handle truths about stuff, maybe you're in the wrong business. So if this is going to offend you, I'm sorry, but, kick rocks. It is what it is. So there are multiple barber cultures. One of the most pervasive and one of the largest is the black barbershop. Now, especially knowing, because I'm a lover of history. That was going to be my thing I did instead of barbering, was being a history teacher. So I may wax poetic on this, and this is from an outsider looking in. I'm a white dude. I know it's obvious, but the black barbershop culture is something I've always just been wowed by, because it's not just a sanctuary for men. It was a place of black brotherhood. There were civil rights movements that got stirred up and started in barbershops. There were some places where that was home base. An amazing culture, and with that comes the fact that having your hair cut shorter, like most black men do, or having to take care of it on a regular basis, you do have more of a community built in the barbershop, where a lot of Caucasian white guy barbershops, every 4 weeks. It's kind of normal. My average client probably comes in every 3 to 4 weeks on average. I do have my once a week guys. They're mostly my bald fades and military guys. And I do have my business guys who come in every 2. It's all over the place. I have some guys I don't see for 6 months, but they only come to see me. So they come in looking like a werewolf. Is what it is. But there's cultural differences. Now, what's happening is that we are getting a blending of the barber culture. You're getting urban style fades working their way out into the country folk getting them. It's no longer just the country boy mullet. You're getting taper fade, burst fade type mullets. You're getting modern mullets. You're getting crop mullets. You're getting all these different styles coming in. The simple fact that we got white dudes getting edge ups, that, once again, going into the cultural thing. If there's, to all of my black viewers, hey, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but this is something that's pretty interesting. If you go back and look at haircuts of the 80s and 90s, they were not as crisp as they are now. There's one man to give credit for that to, and that's Steve Harvey. And this is one of my favorite barbering stories because it's so funny. Steve Harvey was so popular at the time of his show, of his stand-up. He commanded an audience, man. He always dressed fresh, had that swagger to him. Steve Harvey was cool, man. He's still cool. But, when he was younger, he was cool. You know what I'm saying? It's different. So nobody knew. Well, some people knew, but very few people knew that he wore a toupee. He wore a hairpiece. And that super clean line that he had across his forehead, his vertical bars, super clean, was because of his toupee. But that was such an influence in black culture that became the expectation of a clean edge up. And with that comes the fact that you got to get those clean lines everywhere. The beard, the nape. And it became a thing. Sometimes style is accidental. Who knew that hockey players and baseball players growing out their hair a little bit more just to get that little lettuce in the back was going to become such a cultural thing here recently? Mullets are everywhere. I never thought the mullet would come back. I thought it was going to stay a 80s museum piece of, you remember whenever we did this? But it came back. I'm just curious if like late 90s frosted tips and stuff like that's going to come back. I'm not saying I know anybody who did that. But I go into that because like it's not just black and white. You've got Hispanic barbershop culture. And with that, and this all goes back to the fact that you got different textures of hair within races. And so because of that, you do get different offshoots of barbering. It's when you're dealing with, Middle Eastern hair, it's coarse. Sometimes it's curly, sometimes it's really wavy. But it's coarse, more coarse than maybe what you're used to working with. So you have to go in there with texturizing shears to break up some of that coarseness to actually be able to move through it real well. But you also don't want to cut it too short because those curls are tighter than you think they are. For any white barber who's never cut a black dude's hair, a lot of you guys don't know, or hopefully now we've done a better job of educating, but back whenever I started, I went through all of barber school and didn't know about cutting with the grain. Well, I was trained to cut against the grain. So like these things you learn along the way, barber culture has shifted in so many different ways, but it's starting to have a lot of crossover and a lot of melting together. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing because it helps us educate better. It helps us prepare you guys better. But just understand that there's different cultures within barbering still. And so the same name may not mean the same thing. For instance, whenever I was starting out, this is before a lot of the crossover did happen, if a man walked in wanting a taper, what do you think I would do? Well, in the white boy barbershop back then, it would be a normal clipper cut throughout all of here, and we only tapered the nape. Yeah, we didn't do temple tapers back then. It wasn't what was in style for white men. So understanding what these different haircuts mean in different cultures, they're important. It's important to know. Now a lot of the transitions and now a lot of the vernacular has kind of shifted across and people understand better. But even then, people will see a haircut and hear it called something and not know why it's called that. Like a taper fade. I have so many teenagers right now coming in wanting a low taper fade. They only know, I think, what the low part means. But they don't know why it's a fade and why there's a taper applied to the fade. They don't know. So I educate them. And that's another thing, guys. It's important to educate our clients on what these terms actually mean. Because what I may interpret as one thing, a barber in Cincinnati, or a barber in Baltimore, or a barber in Duluth may all interpret this as different things. So it's important to realize that you educate your clients according to what we understand in the barber culture as a whole, and realize that there's also subcultures within that culture. Said culture way too many times. So I'm hoping I'm not stepping on anybody's toes with all this stuff. I don't want to offend anybody, but like this is something we have to talk about. I used to tell, whenever I was teaching, I used to tell my students, because I taught at a barber school where I had probably about half and half white students to black students ratio. And then sprinkle in, I had some Hispanic students, had a couple Asian students. So with that, it's like, I had this huge hodgepodge of race. And I told them, I was like, guys, we're going to be talking about hair textures. We're going to be talking about cultural backgrounds, about expectations of haircuts. We have to talk about race. So many people now are nervous to even mention it. You can be racial without being racist. You get what my point there? Like, talking about race is not off limits. It just matters the respect giving to the topic. So there you go. And then it's in the same way. And this is something I think that we need to strive for too, because this is, in my opinion, a pretty, I'm not gonna say a universal truth, because I don't like blanket statements, but it's an overall truth that whatever you are is what's going to become more natural to you. I'm a white guy. Doing white dude's hair comes very natural to me. if a black lady came into my shop, well, I wouldn't know where to start with a lot of stuff, would I? For one thing, I'm not a cosmetologist. So, let that be said. But that's a different, for one thing, it's a different gender than me, but it's also on a different spectrum of hair texture and hair type and cultural expectations. In the same way, whenever I was teaching in barber school, I had to tell a lot of my black students that, hey, dude, you're cutting a white dude. Flip that clip around, let's go against the grain. And I could tell it made them very uncomfortable at first because they hadn't seen that done a whole lot. And, in their world, like, man, you go against the grain, you're going to be taking it too light. I want to keep it dark. It's a little different with straight and wavy hair. Now, and here's the thing. People have done things to get around talking about race because they're so nervous about it. They'll say terms like kinky curly hair. They'll say wavy hair, straight hair. Well, to what degree? So straight hair on an Asian client is not like straight hair on a Caucasian client. Wavy hair on a Hispanic client is not like wavy hair on a Scandinavian client, a blonde client. The textures are different. So many things are different that it's just easier. And if you're don't be afraid to bring up race. So we're going to see if this opens up a whole can of worms, man. Internet might eat me for this. Honestly, I don't care. Whatever. We live in a weird world right now, man. But the thing is, bringing respect to it. Understanding different cultures, different expectations. It's important. And so that's one reason I will say one of the best things. I am glad as a barber that with this melding of expectations, this mixture of barber subcultures, that we do have stuff like Instagram, Google. I'm grateful that we have pictures to have clients show us now, because it used to be kind of weird whenever a client would sit there sitting down and looking at a book, a style book. I don't know if you guys remember those, but yeah, they were a thing. And pick out a haircut and be like, hey, can you give me this right here? We used to laugh at that. It's like, I can give your head's version of that, sure. But now, whenever there's so many different styles, so many different ways to cut, having a picture, it does say 1,000 words. So it's a good time to be a barber. Anyway, guys, comment down below. What do you think about this topic? Should we be scared to talk about race? Should we avoid it and just use terms like kinky curly hair, wavy hair, straight blonde hair? Should we do that, or can we just say it? Maybe I'm just too old. Maybe my elder millennial is showing. I don't know. I've never encountered in person somebody being like, oh my gosh, you brought up race. If you're not a jerk, it doesn't matter. If you're not being a dick about race, does it matter that you're bringing it up? I mean, I don't know, man. I miss the years whenever it felt like we were. And I'm gonna go deep on this because this is a cultural problem that especially we have here in the U.S. We've always had problems. I'm not looking over that. But to those of us who grew up when we grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, as far as when we became men or women, it felt like we were much better off then when it came to the way we treat people who were different than us. Part of me, and this is just I think I've always joked that I think that a prerequisite to being a barber is you gotta be a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. Man, the media likes to divide us so much. I see it everywhere I look. I see half-truths told. Everybody on one side wants you to hate the other side. Everybody on this side wants you to hate that side. I don't want to hate anybody. I'm sorry, man. Life's too short. I don't see the point of it. I don't see the point of any of it. I love everybody until somebody gives me a reason not to. I think that's the way we should be. You know, I'm an equal opportunity person of love. So, you know, it just feels like going back to, and like I said, don't get me wrong, I know that we have had problems. I know that there is some policing issues that need to be addressed, and it's weird talking about this on a barbering channel, but it's just true. I just feel like late 90s, early 2000s, we were a lot more in sync. And now I'm not talking about the band, but we were a lot more in sync as a people. And who knows, maybe the powers that be, maybe that scared them. With division comes control. But I don't know. And this is, tell me if I'm off base here. And here's the thing, I can take it. I can take people disagreeing with me. But I grew up a kid of the 80s, most of my childhood in the 90s, and became an adult in the early 2000s. And I didn't see the racial argument everywhere. And my black friends growing up, they didn't feel, that I know, they didn't feel weird at my house. They didn't feel weird whenever we, you know, played together and hung out, you know, and played basketball together at the Y. I never felt any of that weirdness there. And maybe there was some there that, you know, maybe my blind eyes just couldn't see. But it felt like we were on a way to where racism wasn't going to be a problem anymore. And I don't know when it turned. Sometime around maybe 2010 is whenever it felt, 2010, 2012, things just started to become more charged. And there was some things that I can understand why it would spark that. But, you know, instead of unifying and coming together, it's almost like we allowed the media to divide us more. And I don't like that, man. I don't like people not feeling safe. It sucks. But, you know, I grew up in the deep South, man. I mean, I'm born and raised in Tennessee, a place where a lot of the country expects us to be racist, whenever honestly and this is me being real with you guys, the only racism I've really seen in my life was from the boomer generation. And it was quiet, and they kept it to themselves. Like I never saw verbal outward abuse towards somebody, and it always disgusted me. But, you know, it feels like Generation X and the millennial generation, like we were rising above that. We were getting over that crap. And I look at the way my childhood was. I mean, man, my heroes, my big hero. I'm a Alabama fan. My heroes were Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson. But yeah, I liked the Auburn guy because he was otherworldly. But Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson and Shaquille O'Neal, and I mean, I had, as every kid did, I had Michael Jordan posters and a Shaq life-size cardboard cutout in my room. First CD I ever bought was Boys to Men. And I'm not trying to do the thing that a lot of white guys will do, like, well, I like black music, or I have a black friend. I'm not trying to say that. But if by chance any of my friends from college, like, if they see this and they know the kind of community that we were around, man, it feels like we've gone backwards, man. It sucks. I think about one of my good friends that I lost in 2010, Joe Nate. He was a big mentor to me, and big black dude, funny, amazing singing voice. He was a mentor to me whenever I was a music pastor, and he meant the world to me. and we lost him. He was really young, man. He was 31. He was 31. I think I was 26 whenever he passed. But I don't know what it was, man. It seems like back then, and it was just people were more hopeful. We trusted each other more. We didn't think the worst of each other all the time. That's I think part of it is thinking the worst of each other. And I know that no doubt racism does still exist. I'm not saying that at all, but man, it felt like we were seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and now it feels like that tunnel's been closed up. And it's just, I think as a society, man, we got to get back to the point to where we can talk to each other openly again, trust each other, give each other the benefit of the doubt before just jumping to conclusions. So if I did lose you on this conversation, guys, I'm sorry. I just, it's something that bothers me. There's somebody who probably watched this video, and the moment I said anything about race, they're like, oh gosh, I got to turn this off. Man, that's not what this is about. It's, you know, we got to move past this as a people. And that's the thing, as a people, we're all one. You know, it's, we are part of the human race. It's not about all the other races separately. It's about who we are as a combined people. And, at the same time, you know, this whole thing, me bringing this up, like I said, some of you may not like it, but I'm going to quote something that I heard from the most unlikely of sources. It's from Rick and Morty. Rick, as he often did, got himself in a situation where he said a truth, but it was taken the wrong way. And he said this, it's a powerful statement. He said, he said he did something and they were booing him. He said, your boos mean nothing to me because I see what you cheer for. That speaks volumes. So whenever you know something that's right, you're sure of yourself, you know who you are. I know my heart in this. Don't apologize. I apologize if I hurt somebody, if somebody's hurt by this, but I'm not going to apologize for what I said. Didn't say anything wrong. And yeah, gosh, this is the way it is sitting in my chair sometimes, guys. And this is fun. This is fun because I joke with my clients all the time. Like, man, you don't know what part of Matt you're going to get. You sit in my chair and, man, we can talk the new Superman trailer. We can talk college football. We can talk about all kinds of geeky stuff. We can talk about guitars and woodworking, all my interests and lightheartedness. I can just be a good listener for some people. But randomly, we touch deep topics. And call me crazy, but I think at the end of the day, me and my customer both are better for having done it. So, well, guys, that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next week. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please click that like button, subscribe, share this with your barber friends. Let's get this community growing. Let's keep those comments humble and kind, and as always, I'll check you guys in the next one.